Here we are again, you and me, just you and me and maybe another 754,026 friends. Well, you and me. Today we're going to talk about a universal basic income. Now, I'm an old man, it doesn't really matter to me, but I'm sure everybody who watches this podcast is at least 20, all right? I don't expect any old people to watch the podcast because that's my crew, and most of them have joined the ruling class. They're all worried about this superannuation and their franking credits, and they all voted for the Liberal National Party. But that's what happens when you get old. You get a few renegades like me and you watching the program, and you get a lot of people who kind of hide, count their money, and wait out their days till they die. And those of you who think I'm a dinosaur as far as technology is concerned, you're right. This is not a podcast. This is a YouTube presentation. Universal basic income. A universal basic income is the steps to be taken for independence, personal independence, freedom and security. Now, what's this boy talking about? What is a universal basic income? Well, I like to go and look at history. I enjoy history. Now, when Rome was first established, there were the patricians and the plebeians. The patricians were the ruling classes, the plebeians did the work. As the Roman Empire expanded and conquered more and more territories, the patricians realised they didn't actually have to employ the plebeians anymore. They could use slaves to run their vast estates, to run their businesses. And what happened to the plebeians, who still had some political power, is they were totally disenfranchised. They were beginning to lose their homes, they were being evicted from their homes, they were starving, and they began rioting. So what the Roman Empire did to keep the plebeians in check is they introduced a universal basic income for Roman citizens, which assured them, because they were citizens, of secure housing, a secure food supply, and much more important, over 200 public holidays a year when they'd go to the Colosseum and see people ripped apart. That's where the term bread and circuses come from, the universal basic income. As we grind through the 21st century, irrespective of the spectre of climate change and the disaster that will occur if we don't change our ways, the dilemma is technology. This little YouTube presentation is only possible because of technology. And artificial intelligence technology means that we don't need everybody to work in order to run society. The ruling classes will no longer need you, like the patricians didn't need the plebeians. But as you've got some political rights and some political power, and because there are still elections every 3 years in this country, federal elections and state elections in most states every 4 years, they've got a problem. A restless class of people that is not able to participate in society because they don't have the resources, they don't have the money, they don't have the jobs to participate in society, creates social dislocation. And it doesn't matter how strong your armed forces are, how many guns you've got. When you've got 2 million people, as we saw in Hong Kong, on the streets 10 days ago, the government of the day has a problem. And it's the same here in Australia. We have 30% of the population trying to survive on social security benefits. We have another 20 to 30% in insecure part-time employment. We have many young people, like the young woman who's doing all the work for this presentation, who's only employed part-time, who will never get a full-time job unless we win Tats Lotto. And that's the reality. I know I'm making a joke, but it's a reality for a lot of young people and middle-aged people who are approaching middle age, that they will never get a secure job. And if you live in a society where the amount of money you receive is directly related to your capacity to invest, which means you've got disposable income after you've met your basic needs, or your need to survival to pay your rent, your mortgage, your food, your bills, your energy bills, your car, your internet, and it goes on, well then society is a problem, the ruling class is a problem. So the idea of a universal basic income is to provide every adult over the age of 18 and over with a basic income, which would cover costs of food, housing, some entertainment, a basic income, which would mean is it would free people from the need to do work which can be done through artificial intelligence and automation. And it's a huge issue, because if you don't have a universal basic income, the number of homeless you see will increase, the number, poverty will increase, social dislocation will increase, violence will increase, and more importantly for those who rule us, tension against them will increase. And that's the last thing they want. It's not good for business, you're revolting. Not good for business, ordinary people are revolting. So, recently, in the last 12 months in Switzerland, where they have citizens-initiated referendum, this proposal was put to the Swiss people. And over a third of the Swiss people voted for a universal basic income. Not the whole lot. Now the thing about a universal basic income is it arrives in your bank account every fortnight like a pension. You don't have to apply for it. You don't have to do any paperwork for it, so you'd see Centrelink disappear to a large degree. You don't have to show that you need it. It goes to everybody, rich, poor alike. So how do we recoup the cost? Now if you're rich you can say I don't want it, but one way of ensuring that only the people who need it, who decide that they don't want to be involved in the capitalist work system, are able to survive, would be to recoup the cost when you pay your tax. For example, if you only receive the universal basic income, you would pay no tax. You would keep it, all that money. If you worked and say you earned double the universal income, you would pay back a quarter at tax time. If you earned 3 times, you would pay back a half. And if you earned 4 times the universal basic income, you would pay it all back at taxation time. End of story. Today, we see the exact reverse. With the new tax laws which will be introduced, whether you earn $40,000 a year or whether you earn $180,000 a year, you'll be paying the same tax rate, which is grossly unfair. Because today, now you may find this hard to believe, but the people who pay the most tax to the government at a state and federal level are not the rich and powerful, not corporate chiefs, not senior bureaucrats, but people on social security benefits. Because although they don't pay income tax, they pay GST on essential services like gas and electricity, clothes, and the list goes on and on. If you smoke, you pay tax. If you drink, you pay tax. If you drive a car and use petrol or gas, you pay tax. So in terms of percentage of income paid in tax, usually the people with the lowest income pay the highest percentage of tax. With a universal basic income, you don't pay tax. So what you do is, by introducing a universal basic income for everybody, and you make allowances obviously if people have got dependent children who would receive more than that universal basic income, you do 3 things. 1, you provide personal security for the individual and their family. 2, you increase social cohesion. 3, you improve health generally. And 4, you resolve the dilemma of what to do with people who you don't need to work in order to society to run successfully. For example, today we've got all these bodgy little businesses, Uber taxis, Uber food delivery, Uber this, Uber that. 7% of the Australian population now gets most of their income from internet platforms, which is extraordinary, and that's just $5-6 an hour. So you don't have to rely on that type of garbage work, casual, part-time, piecemeal work, because you've got that income. Now if you're aspirational, well, you can work hard and you give back that income. Now how do we finance this? Very simple. Very simple. So simple, it's almost like 1 and 1. Today, the people who earn the most pay the least tax. And they don't do it illegally, they do it legally. We have tax laws which help investors through negative gearing. We have tax laws which help corporations, like a gas fuel rebate, for mining companies. We have tax laws that assist people who own shares through franking credits, and the list goes on and on. And these cost the Australian population billions of dollars a year. And we have many corporations and many businesses that pay no tax, legally and illegally. So what am I proposing? One, the first tax will be a 1% turnover tax for companies and corporations turning over more than $2 million a year. That would exclude most small businesses. This would ensure that companies like Google, Facebook and all these other large companies would ensure that they would actually pay tax. Two, a 1% stock market turnover tax. A 1% turnover tax on all financial transactions that occur in the country would raise over $100 billion a year. A 1% stock market turnover tax, which means you pay a 1% tax every time you buy and sell a share, not get a franking credit, would raise another $25 billion. And the third thing you could do is, for any business with a turnover of more than $2 million a year, you could remove the deductions they receive for paying their GST. When you pay your GST, it comes out of your income. When they pay their GST, they claim it as a tax deduction. And these three new taxes, with the current tax system, would raise enough money to provide a universal basic income for every person in this country. You could get rid of unemployment, personal insecurity, you could resolve the problem of housing affordability through the introduction of a universal basic income. It is something that we need to think about. As the 21st century progresses, as the population increases from 7 billion to 8 billion to 9 billion to 10 billion, we don't need everybody on this planet to work in order for society to function, but we do need a new way of ensuring that everybody is able to participate in their community's life on a day-to-day basis, and that they can live a secure future for themselves and their friends. Think about it. You may think this idea is off the wall, but I can assure you in 10 to 15 years it'll be the main topic of discussion in every Western nation on the planet. Thank you. I'll see you next week, if I'm still around. If I'm not, you'll see me for all eternity while the internet exists.